How's it going, everybody? Welcome to today's review and episode. My name is Ryan, and I'm a cinemaholic.
My name is Spencer, and I am a cinemaholic as well. And today we are going to be talking about the movie Ghost in the Shell, which is adapted from I think they're called mangas, the original manga, and then it was adapted into an anime in 1995. And I'll read the plot summary real quick. It says, in the near future, Major is the first of her kind, a human saved from a terrible crash who is cyber enhanced to be a perfect soldier, devoted to stopping the world's most dangerous criminals. I actually just watched the anime for the first time this week, and I wound up really liking it. It's on Hulu, if anybody here has Hulu, and is interested in seeing it. And it got me pretty excited for this. I'd heard great things about it. And obviously, when you hear about these old animes, which I haven't watched too many of them, you always hear Ghost in the Shell in the conversation. And just to set it up real quick, I wouldn't call this a remake. I'd call this a reimagining because they changed a couple things. For the first thing is that the villain in this movie is different from the villain in the anime. And they also changed the character of the Major, which, piggybacking off that real quick, there's a ton of controversy around this movie. And it's because Scarlett Johansson was cast in the character of the Major, who originally was a Japanese woman. And, there always has to be controversy in every movie ever made, ever. Like, we just talked about this on Beauty and the Beast. We talked about this with, Star Wars, I think, when Star Wars came out. And real quickly, there's not much me and Ryan can do about the casting of this movie. We weren't in charge of casting the movie. I think that, honestly, I see why people are upset or whatever, but we're just going to talk about the movie, or at least I am. I'm not really going to let that affect my view of the movie, even though the fact is that I did really love the 1995 anime. So, Ryan, do you have anything to add with that?
No, I had a conversation the other day, actually, about a different subject, but it was technically like the same subject matter with a friend, just kind of about this whole concept of whitewashing and racism and all of that stuff. And my opinion has been and probably will always be that if it suits the story and it's something that works for the story, then I have no problem with it. And I personally haven't seen the anime, so I don't know if any of the changes were necessary or bettered for the story or anything like that. I'm like you said, I'm just going to talk about the movie itself and my experience with it. So I don't want to bring all that preconceived drama or any of that into this review.
Okay, so that being said, I guess I'll go over my thoughts real quick first. I actually like this movie quite a bit. I thought that, first off, I want to say visually, this movie is great. It has great production design. I think it's really well shot, and I think that it does a great job of making this world that the anime set up. It's very Blade Runner-esque, is one thing that I want to start by saying. It looks a lot kind of like that world, and this came out pre-Matrix. That's what you have to keep in mind, the whole anime did. So you can see where this inspired the Matrix quite a bit. And I actually kind of dug the way that they changed the Major's backstory. I thought that it kind of added, and the whole whitewashing thing, if it would have just been them blatantly ripping off the character, not changing the character of the Major, I think it would have bothered me maybe a little bit more. But here, it's almost like a reimagining, as I said. The opening sequence in this movie is amazing. When that happened, I was like, okay, I might actually dig this movie quite a bit. And I will say, I don't like the villain in this movie as much as I like the Puppet Master. But overall, I think that this is a solid movie. I wouldn't call it a great movie, but I'd call it a solid movie. And I don't know, I haven't looked at the box office or anything. My theater was probably about half full. I went to this opening night. So I don't know how this movie is going to do. I know it has a huge fan base, Ghost in the Shell does. So overall, I enjoyed it quite a bit. Ryan, what did you think of it?
I'm actually pulling up box office right now. I only have Friday's totals. It made about 7 million, so I'm sure it's going to do decent. Though I don't think 7 million opening day is going to be enough to, I don't know. I mean, maybe it'll be enough from foreign. That's just domestic that it'll make its money back and warrant a sequel. But for the amount, like you said, for the amount of special effects in the world that they had to build, I don't know if that number is solid enough to it, you know, to make its money back just domestically for sure. And I don't know what the budget was by any means, but my like you said, the opening scene is awesome, and my best takeaways for this movie were the world and the effects, the visual effects. There were some times where I was like, that's a little out there, or that's a little weird. Maybe that visual effect wasn't quite executed perfectly, but then I had to remind myself that this is based off of an anime, and there were a few like really cranked slow-mo shots that I was like, this is weird. Like I don't think this fits, but like I said, I think those are those shots where it's probably pulled directly from the anime, and that's one of those ones, if you went side by side, that the shots would be exactly the same from the anime, paying homage. So there are those aspects, and in that aspect, I think somebody who has seen the original is going to like it a lot more than I did, because it is such fan service. But overall, it was a little bit messy. I felt like some of the execution overall could have been a little more tight. It felt like here and there it kind of wandered story-wise, and it didn't pay off as much as I hoped it would. There's this thing with, like, there's two villains. I feel like I was really into the first villain, but then things kind of changed with him, and they have this whole other villain, and it felt like that was just kind of a throwaway. I don't think they put enough development into that idea. But overall, like, those things, those little gripes can be, completely swallowed up if you just go to enjoy the spectacle of this movie. The action is great. There's maybe one or two fights or action sequences where I was a little bit let down. But saying that, overall, I mean, the amount of action, that's what carries this film. And the quality of that is 80% of the time awesome. So I definitely suggest this. Definitely if you've seen the anime, but if you haven't, it's definitely something that you could go and just have a good time. I think it was probably a little bit too long, but I enjoyed my time.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with the too long statement, but I'll go on and rate this. I think I would give this movie a 6.25 out of 10. I liked it more than I didn't. I wouldn't say it's anything like totally mind-blowing and must-see. And honestly, you could probably just stay home and watch the original anime and like get just as much out of it. But if you have interest in seeing this, certainly go see it. And if you are a fan of this source material, like Ryan said, I think I read that they used not just from the first anime, like elements from the first anime, they also did it from like the second movie and like the TV series as well. And I feel like that's kind of like how you said the second villain. I feel like that's kind of when they're getting into all that. So I do agree, though, it's too long. It's too long a movie. So what would you score it, Ryan?
I'm gonna go a little bit lower. I'm gonna go 5.75. Overall, I think I liked it more than I didn't, but there's still, it's not a very neat movie. Like, it's not very tight. It's not very cohesive, but for what it is, I liked it. And Scarlett Johansson really is, she's an amazing actress, and so I'll give her that. And the character, I don't even remember his name, the guy who gets his eyes replaced. That character was awesome, and I'd watch a spin-off movie just about him. But
right, yeah, he's in the anime as well. Forgot his name.
He's a pretty awesome guy, and I feel like a lot of the characters were, and maybe that's one of the reasons I'm going lower, is I feel like concept-wise this was awesome, but execution kind of lacked, specifically character development. I really would have liked to know more about a lot of these characters, and I know they were trying to be vague for interest and intrigue, but it didn't pay off in the end. I just kind of left like, I don't know anything about these guys. I wish I did.
Yeah, so that it's like you said, kind of fan servicey, maybe. Yeah. Well, anyways, guys, if you have the desire, check out Ghost in the Shell. You can follow me on Twitter at SpinnyHand. Ryan, where can they find you?
Twitter and Instagram at Rye_Gordon.
All right, guys. Well, until next time, bye.